Welcome back to another live episode of Positively Uncensored, your favorite reality TV and interview podcast. If you are here in the live with me, let me know. Please comment below in the chat. Please give me a like. Let me know that you are here with me. I'm nothing without all of you guys, so thank you for spending any of your time with me. I want to start out by letting you guys know feel like I have a little bit of a low blood sugar right now. I was eating a yogurt before I hopped on, and I know, of course, it's like, okay, well, why don't you hop on when it's a better time for you? This is a great time for me. So I just want to let you know that if I end up having like a waving voice or a shaky voice, that's just because I might have a low blood sugar and I've had a lot of coffee. I also want to let you know that I have quite a few notes for Love Island episode 8. That's what I'll be recapping this episode, Love Island episode 8. If you have not already watched Love Island episode 8, make sure you do so before we get into the recap. And stay tuned to the end of the recap so that I can give you my predictions that I have for the rest of the season. Let's get into it. Last night was a good episode. At least I thought it was. Like I said, I have a lot of notes. How many notes I have is usually an indication of how good the episode was. And I have like 4 pages of notes. So I'll say that it was pretty good. Now, the episode starts with Ace talking to Nick. And he's talking about the interaction that he had with Amaya, which we saw in the episode prior. And he's telling Nick that the relationship is done with Amaya. He's scared to let her know. But he's talking about her and saying that the things that she's saying doesn't turn him on and it doesn't make him want to hold her hand or be affectionate with her. Now, meanwhile, Amaya's having a conversation where she says that Ace is still her number one and she's still going to pursue things there. So Hannah's like, let's remember that he had you crashing out just 48 hours into this experience. So let's still reflect on that. And, Hannah surprisingly is a little bit more of a voice of reason than I thought she would be. I don't know if it's because she's blonde. I don't know if it's because I'm just not really invested in her or Charlie's love story. But I guess when I see her, it looks like she had a couple of things to say multiple times in the episode, which I'll get to later. Shelly and Austin have a conversation, and he's telling her that he would like her to figure things out with Ace because he feels himself emotionally pulling back. He doesn't want to get hurt. And it just kind of sounded like he wants her to be able to explore her connections, but simultaneously, he would sort of like to change that love triangle to a 2-person connection and figure out where they are. Now, Shelly assures Austin that her and Ace don't have the time that she has with Austin. So that made him feel better after that conversation. Although we see things change in the back half of the episode, I'm reminding myself every single episode, like it has not left my mind, the fact that Austin is a Trump supporter because unfortunately, like on the show, the way that he's showing up, and this is what people say, right? That men can be so duplicitous. He hasn't done stuff that's outright hateable on the show so far. And because I want to keep Shelly in this race as long as possible, I again will say that I will compromise my morals to vote for Austin and Shelly to keep Shelly in the competition. Now, do I want Shelly with Austin? Absolutely not. Let's be very clear about that. I also did appreciate, like, not me, I don't want to give him any accolades, but just looking at him as a reality TV person, I did appreciate him saying that he doesn't know if he's falling for Shelly, but he knows that he's being vulnerable with Shelly. And I just appreciate not fabricating your connection. There's a lot of people who do too much too soon, and we're seeing that with Hutta and Jeremiah. We're seeing the effects of that, the fallout of that at the back half of this episode. So I at least appreciated that he was being honest, if he's being honest. Now, Huda confronts Jeremiah, and I was a little bit lost about what this comment was in reference to because she's talking to him about if he's pursuing other people or not. I don't remember him saying this, but her demeanor told me that she felt like she was being gaslit. So I believe her. But she confronts Jeremiah about him pursuing other people. He keeps saying things like for now. And it's at that point where I understand what she's talking about. He's like, you and I are good for now, or if another girl catches my attention, or when another girl catches my attention, then we'll see what to do there. On one hand, I understand Huda's position. On the other hand, We have Ace who coupled up with Amaya and outright told her 30 seconds after. He just wanted to be clear. He's still open and pursuing things. And I think that, like Ace told Hutta, you're coming across very like non-approachable and like things are very closed off between you and Jeremiah, and like you're not interested in pursuing somebody else even if they pulled you. So I sort of understand what he was trying to say. Like he went too much too soon and now he's trying to backtrack and be like, but wait a second, we're still in theory open to meeting other people though, you know, because like the comments about the wedding is a lot. But yes, he was absolutely gaslighting her. Let's see. How to try. Okay. They end up in like a little bit of an argument. Huda's like, should I talk to other people then? And Jeremiah's like, I don't really know how we got here. And it ends with like all of a sudden she changes the pace of the direction of the conversation and she asks him, like, okay, like, do you want to shower together? And these moments that we're seeing from Huda, just woman to woman, they make me feel bad. Like it makes me sad to see this. I think Huda needs therapy. And I don't think she needs Love Island. And I don't think that she needs Jeremiah. I think that like I understand how it could either be coming from a place of insecurity. I'm a psych major, also, you know, very interested in sociology and stuff, but like I feel like there's a component of either like insecurity or I don't know, like having experience where you try to like placate a very specific type of individual and you placate them by offering them sex. I feel like Huda's been in positions like that before, and it just makes me feel sad for her. I'm like, you need to not be in this experience. This doesn't align with what you need right now in life. I'm looking at my comments and I'm seeing Check Please said agreed. He was totally gaslighting her. This is in reference to my take on the conversation with Huda and Jeremiah. Hi, Leah. Forgive me if I misspelled your name. You did not. That's exactly how you spell it. Good morning, JC. Tell me if I mispronounced your name. That's exactly how you spell my name, Leah. And just to say, the Leahs have been done. There's been a lot of Leah representation randomly on reality TV lately. Therapy immediately. Perhaps Huda, has an anxious attachment style type. I could absolutely see that. I have a friend, shout out to my friend Janae. She comes on my podcast frequently. She is a family and marriage therapist. I love chatting with her about things like this. We're going to be doing an episode where she kind of offers her perspective of why each islander is showing up in the villa the way that they are. So I'm curious to see what her thoughts are in Huda beyond what we're seeing right here. Okay. Continuing on. And like I said, I don't relish in saying this. Like, despite the fact that I don't love Huda on this show, I don't want to see any woman not see their own value. That makes me sad to see. Okay, moving along. Shelly tells the girls that Austin is in his head and that she kind of can't help the other connections that she has made in the house. So basically, and what I took from that conversation was Shelly would sort of like Austin to self-soothe, reassure himself, like sort of be confident about the situation and still pursue her. And Alandria pretty much tells him so in the back half of the episode. Let me know what you took from that from that conversation that she was having with the girls. But yeah, I think that she just wants Austin to be confident and pursue it. Oh my God, Antoinette, I'm so glad you're in here. Feels like Jeremiah is choreographing his exit from Huda for sure, but trying to make her doubt that she's obviously sensing it. Huda has been in the house for 4 years, and she's lonely and thinks Jeremiah is her person. It's definitely too fast, too soon. So the next morning, after Shelly's aware that Austin is sort of in his head, right? She had a grand plan to make breakfast for Austin. She was literally in the process. She was making pancakes. She was like, okay, I'm going to make this for Austin. Ace comes over and she's like, do you want some too? Like, do you want breakfast? And he's like, not right now. Go get dressed. We're going to do something right now. I have a couple different thoughts on that. Oh, spilling. Okay. Number one, I love Shelly. So Shelly really can't do any wrong in my eyes. Do I wish that Shelly said no? Yes. The only reason for that, you're not on his time. What? You are not on his time. Just because things aren't working out with Amaya right now and he decides that he's going to heavily pursue you after choosing Amaya to couple up with, it's sort of like you made your bed, now lie in it. Like, I would even be okay 100%. Like, okay, let's do the workout, but I was making breakfast for Austin. I just sort of would have liked to see her be like, "No, not on your timeline. You didn't choose me. I would like to do this on my timeline." I hate that Shelly dropped everything. That's the thing. I don't like to see my girls drop everything for a man in this economy. No. No. Hey, Shelly dropped everything to do Ace. Like, this man did not choose you. That's the thing. I wanted her to be less available. And it's not because I like Austin. Let's make that very clear. I remember who Austin is. It's never leaving my mind. It is because I want Shelly's time to be hard to get. I want Shelly's time and companionment to be hard to get. So she goes upstairs to get ready. As she's getting ready, I'm thinking that this interaction with Amaya is started because Amaya looks out the window and sees that Ace has set out yoga mats for the two of them. I guess it wasn't really started by that because when Amaya confronts Shelly, she says, like, I cried to you about Ace and how rocky we were and the way you were hugging last night, doing XYZ. Like, I feel like you didn't tell me about your connection. And I'm like, back up, back up. She wouldn't even let Shelly talk. She really wouldn't even let Shelly respond to her. There was no gaps in the sentence. It was just like continuing on explaining why she felt the way she felt and why she's valid for feeling that way. And it's like, first of all, you knew that there was a connection because everybody in that villa knows that there's a connection. Even Austin, who's coupled up with Shelly, knows that there's a connection. He's like, go after her, man. Come on, dude. Pull the trigger, dude. Go after what you want, man. Like Austin, even Austin sees it. So let's not there. Also, I'm confused. I know that I missed it as it was happening on my TV, but Austin and Amaya made out. So, and I don't think Amaya told Shelly about it. I don't think Shelly would have cared, but I don't think Amaya told Shelly about it. So it's like we're not being out in the open with each other. Like we weren't all telling each other everything anyways. Like you're keeping something close to the vest as well. So it just really really confused me. And the thing is too, it's not even like she kissed like a different person in the villa who's not attached to Shelly. Like she shared a kiss with Austin, the person who Shelly's currently coupled up with. And that's also why I'm like, Austin, you can't really speak about being in a love triangle when it's actually a square. Okay. And yes, Austin and Amaya, they both kept secrets. So yeah, someone in my comments said, I hate when folks cut other people off. Me too. And it's very frustrating to be in. Like sometimes when I'm constantly cut off, I'll be honest, I can be a bit of a reactive person. And I admire the times that I'm able to walk away from the conversation and be like, you know what? I don't feel like either of us are really saying anything. If I don't get a chance to speak, let's not. But then there are other times where I'm like, I'll talk over you then. You want to go high? I'm going to Mount Everest. You want to go low? See you in hell. See you as we go down to the pit. See you in the pit of hell. Like, I can be very reactive. Please don't try to talk over me. Time and place for everything. But like, I'm thinking of, especially like romantic partners. Like, if I'm trying to talk and a man keeps cutting me off, that will make me so annoyed. Austin and Amaya owe Shelly nothing. I feel for Austin and Amaya owe Shelly nothing. I feel for Amaya, who is misled by Ace, taking advantage of her vulnerability. Ace's treatment of Amaya throughout their time together is cruel and intentional, demonstrating his lack of empathy. I think a couple things can be true. I think that Austin does owe Shelly something, and I think that Amaya does as well. And that's because what they're asking for is reciprocation, and they're asking for Shelly to be honest and open and like proactively address things ahead of time. And if they're not going to do the same, you know what I mean? I just feel like why set the expectation? That's just my opinion. But I also enjoy always reading an opposite take. So thank you for chiming in. Oh, during this conversation, Hannah does try to interrupt Amaya. She fails to do so, but she was like getting physically stressed over in the corner. She was like, okay. Um, and it ends with Amaya saying, you can have him and ride off in the sunset. And to be clear, like at first I understood Ace talking about his boundaries, but then as soon as it got into the territory of kind of picking Amaya apart, and you could tell that she was worked up and feeling self-conscious over how she speaks, I didn't like that. I just don't see how Ace misled Amaya. She doesn't listen. She did the same thing with Jeremiah until he had to say, I don't want you. Jeremiah was very direct when he was talking to her as well. Ace pulls Alandria as he's hearing this conversation from upstairs because downstairs you can hear Amaya and Shelly talking upstairs. And Alandria is like, I'm not going to put anybody's business out there, but what I do want to say is I think you should be as transparent as possible in the future. Some people may feel like you're moving sneakily. What do you think? Do you think that Ace was moving sneakily? Why didn't Ace just couple up with Shelly to begin with? I'm I'm confused by his intentions. Like part of me felt like when he said that he's still trying to explore, that he would like to explore a connection with Hutta. And I also feel like that because he's had such a reaction to Hutta's relationship this entire time. Continuing on. Okay, so Alandria tells Ace you should probably just be transparent. Shelly ends up having her breakfast after this with Austin and Jeremiah. Austin learns what happened this morning and that he was gonna Austin learns that he was gonna get made breakfast. And that instead of getting made breakfast, Amaya basically pulled Shelly and they had a conversation in front of all the girls. And that was how the conversation started as well. It was started as like, we're gonna talk, and I don't mind having this entire conversation in front of all of the girls. It was like quite a spectacle and not like a very private thing between the two of them. Um, so Austin learns about what's happening with Shelly's morning, and his take, he vents about this later to Charlie, and he's like, Amaya was coming at a Shelly sideways this morning and it interrupted my breakfast. Like, I'm gonna have to up my game. So all of that happens. Ace pulls Amaya again, and this conversation starts out. What's interesting about Ace and Amaya is they have a couple of things in common, but they don't think that they do. That's what's very interesting. He pulls Amaya and he says, "This is how it's gonna go. We're gonna talk, and we're not going to cut each other off." Now, naturally, this didn't work, right? It's like when you see those Bravo shows and they pass around a crystal and no one's supposed to talk unless they have the crystal, and then that actually happens. No, no, everybody ends up talking when they don't have the crystal. So that didn't work. I do feel like the way that he started the conversation, yes, Amaya cuts people off, but I felt like it was a little bit patronizing. That's just my personal opinion. I felt like it was very much like it would be hard to not feel like you're in a defensive position right off the bat. However, Amaya is really bad at leaving a pause for someone to be able to respond. And he did let her speak without interrupting her, I will say. So, like I said, Austin vents about how Amaya came at Shelly sideways in his words. Jeremiah talks to Nick, and this is the conversation where he's like, "It's feel it today, especially feels like too much. I I can't do it anymore." When she says things like, "You did so good," to me bringing her breakfast, it feels like she's talking to me like I'm her kid. Um, I feel like Jeremiah is looking for reasons to back out of this relationship. I don't know. Like maybe he actually feels that way and fair. However, I think that he has realized how deep into this he really is, and he wasn't planning for that. He wasn't planning for that type of seriousness. So I think that that's what's going on. Ace has a conversation with the Landry and said it's not a bad day. It's just a bad woman, which is a new one. I certainly haven't heard that before. Now, Austin leads Shelly in a meditation. I think it's very gracious to call it a meditation. I don't know that I would feel like laughing or like calm after this. But yeah, I mean, it was like, and let's be clear, I believe in meditation. I believe what the shaman originally taught Austin. I don't believe that he communicated things effectively. Like watching Austin guide her through the meditations, like I said, I would have laughed. I do think Ace's date had a little bit more structure to it, right? Nick was going to be guiding them through yoga, and the two of them were going to be participating so they could sort of enjoy. But yeah, I don't understand how Amaya could be so hurt to act this way. It hasn't been 24 hours. That is a valid point as well. That is a valid point as well. Um, okay, so let's see. As Austin is leading Shelly in this meditation, okay, Ace is watching from above and he's like, 30 seconds is too long. I'm going to go down there and interrupt. And Landry is like, okay, go get your girl then. Go get your girl. Oh my God, I'm so glad that you caught the live today. As he goes to interrupt Shelly, which he does, he goes downstairs to interrupt Shelly and Austin's date that he planned. He gives Austin a handshake, you know, that was at least respectful before taking her off. Now, I want to point out, other creators have pointed this out, but Ace must be insecure about his height because he's always leaning back, and he's leaning back so much that I genuinely wonder if either his core is always on fire or if his center of gravity could potentially be off. Like I'm curious about both things. If his gait could perhaps be affected because of the shift of his weight so often. But Olandria has a conversation and talks to Austin, who is spiraling. We could nickname him Anxious Austin, perhaps. He's wondering if him and Shelly look as good as Ace and Shelly do while they're talking. In short, no, right? You know, um, Shelly tells Ace that, to be honest, your mysterious or lackadaisical, laid back attitude can sort of feel like you have a wall up. And Ace is like, okay, I need to be on my top game for Shelly because she's going to notice things. He like fixes a piece of hair that wasn't messed up, which was like very interesting. That would have made me laugh a little bit too. Um, yeah, it boundaries where I mean, I get it as well, like boundaries with certain people. I completely get it, right? Some people maybe you feel comfortable with and some people you don't. But it's just very interesting. It's just very interesting. You will never take your foot off of Austin's neck, and I'm here for it. That's a fact. That's a fact. I think Ace uses his body language to make girls nervous. He isn't actively engaged, so they work harder for his attention. That's a thought too. Like maybe like, you know, like just like physically removing yourself from a conversation, like leaning out of the conversation or leaning away versus like leaning in and being very invested into every word someone's saying. I will say that when I think that he gives his full attention to whom he's talking to. That's what I think. Now let's get into Pucker or Pie, the game that they played, which was messy as hell, both literally and physically. Will never understand why on Love Island they can't jump in the pool. At the very least, like I don't know, like to get the crusted pie off, like they always have like condiments or like this like food on themselves and they have to, and I get it, like they're not going to let them go to bed and like because they want to see the conversations and the fallout from whatever game they played, but like oh my god, like we can't have like a hot towel. We can't have a hot towel for at least everybody's face. So Nick goes first. I do not remember what question he was in because I didn't realize until the second person went that this was actually like they were getting asked a question and then picking someone. I thought they were just picking someone that they either wanted to pie or kiss. So Nick picked Alandria. I forget what it was. Again, I don't know what the question was. He did it very gently. He got pie. Do I wish it was a kiss? Yeah, because it's like feeling a little bit like maybe Elandria would recognize that kiss. I don't know, just a thought. Next up is Hannah, who's asked who's the most basic in the bedroom. She picks Austin. We just talked about how I can't. Oh, best kisser. Okay, good. I'm glad he picked her for that too. Thank you. Thank you. Best kisser is what Nick picked Elandria for. Hannah picks Austin for most basic in the bedroom. I think this is the two of them flirting with each other, which is a prediction for that I'm gonna save for later, because as much as I can't stay off Austin's neck, I don't think he seems basic in the bedroom. Austin would scare me in the bedroom. Like thinking back to like college days with the sadness of potentially hooking up with somebody who was, not a great person, like frat vibe. Sometimes there was crazy shit in that bedroom. And that's the vibe that Austin gets. I won't get specific. I'll leave it at that. Which Islander regrets coupling up the most? Shelly gets this question and she picks Ace. Ace is elated that he's picked for this. Yes, Austin had the highest body count, 104. So I think that was them flirting. Why do I remember Austin's exact body count? That number needs to be like taken from my mind. Was it Charlie? Oh my God. How many people did Austin sleep with? Well, he was assigned that in my head because Austin looks like he has a dirty dick. Which Islander regrets coupling up the most? Ace, picked by Shelly. She pied him, I think. I think this was a pie. I think she got to pie him. Taylor got asked which Islander would be the craziest in the bedroom. He picked Shelly, but like pied her hard. I like had a note, why so hard? What's going on? What is going on? Yes, I think Shelly would be great in the bedroom. Okay. Austin tries to give Shelly's like some verbal affirmation after she gets pied, and she's like, "You're rocking it. Like, you're rocking it." I hate to see the women pied. I hate it. I hate it. I would rather bend over and get it on my ass. Like, would that be disgusting? 100%. Would anybody want to see that? No. It's just a thought. Sierra gets next. Who's here for clout over love? She picks Ace. It was a good kiss. I'm not gonna lie. They did have a good kiss. It would have been funny to me, personally, if she picked Jeremiah. Jeremiah got which Islander is the most high maintenance? He got Huda. I know he wished he got to pie her. Like when you get to like pie one of your teachers you're currently annoyed with or something, like when they used to do assemblies like that. They shared a kiss instead. I'm like, you guys are so fucking, like, honestly, you guys are boring. You guys are so boring. Okay, Olandria got who's most likely to fake a relationship to make it to the final. And we all said at the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, Jeremiah. Yeah, Jeremiah. Thank you. And it's like a little peck. I'm like, all right, you don't even deserve to kiss her anyways. But it's like, make out. Like you could have made out. I wouldn't have been mad. You would have been so mad. You'd been fucking fuming. You'd have been fucking fuming. You would have been like, you didn't have to do that in the challenge. Like everybody else, like you didn't have to do that. You could have just given a peck. That's what would have happened. Amaya was asked who is the most boring Islander. She kissed Nick. He said he enjoyed it. He's like, I'm going to be honest. I enjoyed this. We all keep joking. Nick is a whore. Yes. He's a whore. Yes. Nick is not boring, but he is unfortunately funny. And I see why people cave when they talk to Nick. Charlie is asked who's the most flirtatious. He picks Amaya and pies her again hard. I didn't like this. Ugh. Ew. Ew. Like, what did she do? What is wrong there? I don't like that. Why? Like, why were they relishing in that? Which is weird to me. But it was asked which Islander is waiting for someone better to walk in. She says Ace. This makes Ace feel like she has a vendetta against him. Why? I'm not so sure. He's almost like a safe guess. Like, yes, Ace has a connection with Shelly, but simultaneously just ended things with Amaya. So is he not single? Like he's pretty much single, right? And then Shelly is coupled up with Austin. So it wasn't an unreasonable pick. It's interesting because like Huda tells them two different things about this. She tells the girls like, "Oh, I didn't want to pick you." And then she tells Ace like, "Oh, I would rather kiss you." I don't It was confusing. Moving straight along. Do I think that they both have this weird tuning into each other? Yes. Like I can't even explain it, but it almost feels like they both have a little weird vendetta against each other. Like it feels pretty mutual on both ends, actually. Nick gets asked who has big dick energy. He picks Austin. Next up is Taylor, who's get asked who's trying too hard. He picks Amaya. He then defends this later when Amaya comes up to him and is like, "Why did you pick me?" He's like, "I did think you were trying too hard," to which she concedes. And she's like, "I was trying too hard for Ace." Could there be a connection between Taylor and Amaya? Let me know in the comments. Sierra gets who gives red flags. She picks Shelly. She said she's been waiting to get her lips on Shelly. I loved this moment. Happy Pride Month. Ace gets asked who has the nicest smile. He picks Shelly. They share a passionate kiss. Okay, wait. Listen. I'm gonna be honest. Okay. I reserve the right to take all of this back or deny it. It was pretty hot when Ace put the pie in his mouth. I don't care. I know it's nasty. I love pie. As my boyfriend and I were watching this, he was like, "This would be your favorite challenge. You would probably eat the pie 100%." That was hot. Don't care. That was super hot. Do I want them together end game? Not really. But was that hot? To me, it was. Austin's like, "Put her down." So yeah, I would give that a 10. Just saying. Granted, I shouldn't be anybody's like picker at who has great discernment. Austin got who was most likely to cheat outside the villa. He answers Hannah, and then they both end up like pieing and kissing. So I don't even really remember what he flipped his coin on, but they took the opportunity to go at it. As stated, I think they'll end up together at some point. I think that they're flirting. I think the pie kiss was hot. Thank you. At least one other person, right? All it takes is what is it? One mustard seed. If you know, you know. Um, Best Kiss Award going to Ace and Shelly, hands down, followed by Sierra and Shelly. Shelly seems to be the commonality. I think Austin feels threatened by Ace and is feeling insecure, and he comes to Shelly, make him feel sure she's responsible. And I don't like that. Me either. Make yourself. That's what I think I was saying in the beginning. She wants him to self soothe, be confident, come into the situation. Like, I don't need to reassure you right now. We're not at that stage. Okay, so after the game, Taylor talks about Amaya, and like the whole group is like, this was very interesting. All of the men were sitting around, they were talking about Amaya. Charlie's like, she did get a bit bitey at that. And like, they're like quaking in their boots. When Amaya comes over to pull Taylor and talk to him. Now, prior to going to pull Taylor, Amaya's talking with the girls, and she picks up on the fact that Taylor picked her because he's besties with Ace. Two quotes that made me laugh from Amaya was "God forbid a girl crashes out." Also, when she was asked to rate her kiss, she said -5. So funny. So funny. Some of the stuff that she said had me howling. Huda admits that she picked Ace because okay, this is okay. I don't know why I wrote this down. You guys can help me decipher. I think Huda said in this conversation with the girls that she picked Ace because Ace picked her or because he made a face. And this is why I think that they are mutually having a thing together. Like it's almost like an ex-wife situation. I don't know. Like they have this weird hate for each other, but I could also see them going to the hideaway. It's really weird. It's really weird. Ace tells Jeremiah that your girl pissed me off. And then all of them proceed to talk about Huda. Nick says that it felt like she was scared to say what she really thinks. And then Nick is like, unpopular opinion. Like, if there's one thing Nick's gonna do, he's gonna give an unsolicited opinion. He's like, unpopular opinion. I don't like the way she's pursuing you. It feels fake. Sometimes it feels like she likes you, and then sometimes it feels like she doesn't. Um, and he's like that hard and that fast, I'm not buying it. Nick is so messy because why 5 minutes later, when Jeremiah is disassociating and pulling back from Huda, and Huda plops down next to him, upset, does he say to her, "Is he mad at you? Why would he be mad at you?" I don't know. You know. You quite literally know. You know. Come on. You know. That's not the end though. What else did they say? Oh no, that it was the end. So Huda and Ace have a conversation after. He says, I do not appreciate your small comments and I don't appreciate you digging at me. It felt like I was the only real answer that you gave, and everything else you were scared to say your opinion. And Huda's like, I'll be honest, I would rather kiss you than kiss Amaya, but I was going to pick her. And let's see. Then Ace tells in his confessional that he thinks that Huda doesn't like the finger pointed at her. I think that two things can be true, right? I think that two things can be true. Now, this is when Amaya storms over. And like I said, the men are shaking in their boots. She's 5'3" in a bubble ruffle skirt. They are shaking in their boots. Taylor has his conversation with Amaya because she pulls Taylor. She's like, why'd you answer that about me? And he's like, I do think that you were trying too hard with Ace. And she's like, I'll give you that. I was. Now, it's after Jeremiah just heard input from his friends that they're concerned that Huda doesn't really like him. And now, as stated, he's disassociating. Okay. They're all, picture this. Okay. The whole group is sitting there around the fire. They've got 2 containers of stale Tostitos. That's dinner. Pie crusted everywhere, places it shouldn't be, pores you didn't know you had. And while you're sitting there with pie crusted on your face, uncomfortable, eating stale Tostitos because there is no other food, it starts to get awkward. You're all sitting there, collective moment, sitting in filth. And all of a sudden, up walks Huda to Jeremiah and he ignores her. Now, Austin notices immediately. And I think what happens is Austin thinks that this is related to the game. And he's like, bro, chill out. No, the game is a game. Nothing happened. And Jeremiah's like, you know nothing. You know nothing, because Austin wasn't sitting there or a part of that conversation to where he heard all of the group's input. Now, Huda's standing there and trying to have what she would consider a normal interaction with Jeremiah. She's standing in front of him while he's seated. She's expecting him to wrap his arms around her like he normally would. Instead, however, when she goes to touch him, he grabs her hand, shakes it, and then goes, and she's like, what the heck? Are things okay? Are things, what happened between now and then? He's like, things are fine. And so Huda's like, okay, you're giving me nothing. So she goes and plops down, as stated, right next to Nick. And she's like to Nick, Jeremiah won't talk to me. I don't know why, but he won't talk to me. Now, Nick is like, really? I don't know why he'd be mad. As stated, you know why he'd be mad. Now, when Huda pulls Jeremiah to the side, because she's like, after she sits there for a few seconds, she's like, no, we're going to talk about this. She goes over to Nick, pulls him to the side. I'm sorry, to Jeremiah. Nick is deer in headlights. He's worried that he's going to be found out, right? That his opinions and what he said, because he says, don't tell her I said this, that Jeremiah is going to throw names out there for who said what about her. But he doesn't give names, but he says what happens. Like, he's pretty much like, my friend said that it only feels like sometimes you like me and sometimes you don't like me. And like, it's just too much too soon. Now, this rightfully makes her very upset. Okay. Like, we've seen them showering together. We've seen them making out every single night. We've seen all the time they're spending together. And it is a huge switch up in energy. It is. Plus, it's probably hot as fuck. So all of that with that. Now, does it end like that? I think it does. I think the episode ends with not knowing what's going to happen with the two of them. Now, I have some predictions that I was going to give at the end of the episode, but before I do, the comment says, I noticed how Amaya still hadn't apologized to Shelly. Not that I'm surprised. I noticed that too. Nor Austin nor Amaya have been forthcoming about their makeout either. No apology and no honesty, no being upfront. Now, here's the predictions and the final questions I have. My first question, and I'll let you guys answer in the chat and then give you my prediction, is for the bombshells, which is tonight Wednesday. We don't have an episode tonight. So tomorrow, do you think that the bombshells will be boy, girl? Will they send one of each? What do you think is going to happen? My prediction that I have when I told my friends, they were like, I hope that doesn't happen. So perhaps my prediction is a little bit pessimistic. But yeah, they're supposed to be bringing in bombshells. I want to know, do you think they'll be boys or girls mix? And do you think that they'll be fine? Will they be attractive? Because if they're not sending in bombshells, like send in like tens, send in tens, please. After two girls, it's going to be two boys. Okay. I'm like, my first thought is I think they'll send one of each. I don't want that. I want after two girls, it's going to be boys. I would like to see them bring in two boys, bring in two guys, send them in. And they need to be fine. And they need to not be height deficient. Okay. They need to be tall. Next up, my next prediction, I think Austin and Hannah are going to couple up. I don't know when, but eventually at some point in this show, we will see them couple up. It just feels like they're getting their feelers out there for each other, like some small flirtations, some small acting on it in the game. I think they're going to couple up at some point. Now, I'll be damned if Shelly is not in a secure position before that happens. I need it to be two boys for the bombshells. Next prediction. I do not think that Jeremiah and Hutta will make it to Casa. I really don't think that they'll make it that many more episodes, but I certainly do not think that they'll make it to Casa Point. I also think, piggybacking off of that, as you tell me your thoughts about Hutta and Jeremiah, I think when they break up, that one of them is going to be leaving. Like, I don't think there's a world where when they break up, they both stay in this villa. I think that if they break up, I don't picture Hutta ever exploring multiple connections at once. So whether that puts her in a very stable relationship that she takes to the finale next, or whether that leaves her vulnerable, I'm not sure. But I think either Hutta or Jeremiah, when they split, one of them is going home. For sure. I want Taylor gone and for Elandria to have two guys fighting over her. Please. Please. Thank you. I hope Jeremiah and Hutta make it to Casa so that the crash out after is Emmy worthy. Which brings me to my next prediction. I don't think that Sierra and Nick will make it to Casa. But if they do make it to Casa, I think they will both bring back someone new. I think that Sierra will bring back someone new. And I think Nick will bring back someone new. I think I could see production relying on the drama Jeremiah and Hutta bring. That's a possibility too. Yeah, wait, those are my predictions. I flew through them. Predictions. I think it'll be a mixed group, although I want two guys to come in and I want them to be fine. I think Austin and Hannah are going to couple up. I think Jeremiah and Hutta are not making it to Casa. I think that, oh, I forgot this one. I think that we're going to have to see Shelly be in two separate couples that we don't love. The first one we've already been watching, and it was Austin and Shelly. The second one, I do think that she will couple up for Ace. I think it will be brief. I think it will be short-lived. But I think they may briefly couple up. I can see that. I think Taylor does not like Olandria. Taylor lost me as soon as he said he doesn't know if he's physically attracted to Olandria. It's like they have great chat. I could see them hanging out and being great friends. But yeah, like I again, the kiss with the tongue in the photo booth, it did something for me because I cave quickly, but I don't like the fact he said that. Now, here's a question that I have for you. On the After Sun episode, Shelly and Olandria both said that Ace was the biggest game player in the villa and that the things that he said to the girls was repetitive. So, what I want to know is, are we being fed a fake edit? Like, and by that, I guess I mean, is Shelly as open to Ace as she's seeming in these conversations? Are we getting a false narrative? I was kind of shocked to hear them say on After Sun that that she thinks that Ace is the biggest game player in the villa. I'll also it's really hard for me to get past the fact that Shelly is 27 and Ace is 22. Now, let's be clear. Yulissa and Austin should have been kicked out of the villa together, and two new men should have been brought in. We know that you guys have people at hotels right now that are what is it called? When you're by yourself, not siloing, but they're doing something, right? They're by themselves. So, in theory, send in them. Release the hounds. Bring out the dancing lobsters. Like they should have both gone at the same time and two new men should have gone in. I want to know what you guys would think. And tell me if you think this is even possible. I don't think this has been done before, but if I was a producer, I would definitely pitch this idea. If this idea went over well, that's a completely other thing. I think it would be really interesting if right now, given by what's happening online, if every Islander, I know it's early days, but if every Islander got to have a call with their friend, I would like certain people to be privy to certain things. And then I would like to hear the discussions from those things. Like, I don't want to hear about it after the villa when everyone gets their phones back. I want certain conversations happening now, and I want to know what the Islanders' reactions is to stuff. I'm just kind of dying for it. I would die for a phone call in. I think it would just add a layer of so many things. Now, could I see where that could be problematic because now people have anxiety and want to leave? Yeah. However, Yulissa shouldn't have been on the show in the first place. I think Ace and Shelly would have been at a different place by now if she hadn't, just to get kicked out after a late background check. And I don't believe the background check was late. I 100% believe that they cast her with the intention of her doing exactly what she did, which was to cause strife. They knew she would pick Ace the first episode, bring more attention to the show. And then once they got the reaction that they knew was inevitably coming, they kicked her off. Like I think that she was just like I think that she was just they just don't care. It's disgusting, but I truly just don't think they care. They look at it as a throwaway. Don't care about the reality of like what we're allowing to happen on screen, don't care about how harmful this individual is, don't care about platforming them. But what I do care about is I know that if I put Shelly first to pick Ace and put Yulissa last, that she will pick Ace and steal him. And I also know that we're going to get a reaction out of the audience because of what comes out about her online. It's so unfortunate, but I've been a conspiracist like this for at least 5 seasons of Love is Blind. Like, I mean, I've felt this way for a while. I would say to everybody on here, if you've never watched the show Unreal, it's very triggering. So let's start out with that. It was triggering, but it was very enlightening on the realities of reality TV. And even though they claim that the show is a parody, I personally am not able to consume even shows like Love Island anymore without thinking of this show and what producers may be doing on the back end to form a storyline, who they pick to play what role, what they hope happens, what they hope the audience does, how it affects when it's a live show. Like Unreal recalibrated my brain, that show. And that's to say, like I said, it's triggering. Parts of it are parts of it I couldn't even watch. I think I stopped after season 3. It's heavy, but is it probably really close to what happens? Yes. I've received at least 10 to 12 messages from former reality TV personalities whom have shared, I can't watch that show. It's just too triggering. It's just too similar to what I actually went through. So yeah, it gives me lots of questions to the morality of production and if there is a morality. I am surprised a little bit, like not really, right? But I am surprised a little bit that Yulissa, like, okay, I think that they removed her completely from press. Like, I don't think that she was available for any interviews. I don't want to interview her anyways, but I don't think she was available for any interviews. I don't think she has said anything beyond her, what did they say, 80% AI generated statement that she posted on Instagram. I'm just curious, like I want to hear from people like who are in Miami, boots on the ground. How's your mobile bar business doing? Do you have bad reviews? Are people still supporting you? You know, what's the reaction like when you go out? I really am curious about all of those things. I'm curious. I'm really curious. If anybody else is curious, you let me know. But yeah, and let me know if you think that it would be too messy to allow a call from friends. But yeah, it would be really interesting to have them privy to certain things. I think that's all I have to say. I really could sit here with all 51 of you for longer, but I think that's all I have to say about the episode of Love Island. If you have any thoughts, comment them before you leave the stream. Do me a favor and like the video, leave a comment, subscribe so that you can come back for more Love Island. I'm going to be catching up on The Valley today. I'm going to be watching the show about the rich folks drowning in the submarine naturally on Netflix. And I think there was something else, Janae from Love Island. Destination X episode 3 airs today. She's finally in the show. She's finally in the show. So I'm going to be watching so that I can recap from them on. I've heard that she's actually a main cast member. So we're not just going to be seeing little like moments of her. We're going to be seeing a lot of her. So I'm going to be tuning into that show. It streams on Peacock. I was also watching Couples Therapy, but Boris triggered the hell out of me. So I'm taking a break from that. I'm caught up on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I have some thoughts. Let me know if anybody's watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you guys are, then maybe I'll do a video about that next time. Everybody have an amazing rest of your day. And I'll probably see you this time tomorrow. To everybody who was in the chat and spent time with me, thank you.